So anyway, that's one of the things I've been driving is this whole font embedding thing. And so along with that, I wanted to start looking at web standards.
Because can I just interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
Is it available right now? Like if I get Internet Explorer 8 Beta 2, can I use that?
If you got Internet Explorer 6, you could use it.
It's still the same
Internet
thing,
Explorer
right?
7, you could use it.
It's still the same thing?
It's
like
absolutely the same thing. It has always worked since 1996 in Internet Explorer. I think Internet Explorer 4 was when they introduced it.
I was curious, is it like if you for making it an open standard, if you changed it, in a way, so...
It's not changed in any way.
Okay.
It's exactly the same and it works exactly the same as it always has done.
Okay.
It's just that the format is now going to be documented and open so anybody can do the same thing. Right? And anybody can unpack it in their browser. Because that's what we really want. What we want to happen is for the Safari guys and the Mozilla guys and the Opera guys, any other browser, to implement embedded OpenType. Then it becomes a standard, then everybody can use it on the web.
Then it makes sense, right?
Yeah. And, as we've said publicly, we are not going to support font linking. So we're not going to go that route that we believe encourages piracy. But we are going this route, and we're making it open and free and available to anybody else to do it, which I think is a pretty fair approach. So I believe that it made sense way back then to have a proprietary technology to do this. It makes no sense whatsoever today. So that's been kind of one of my major efforts. At the same time, I've been looking at web standards. Internet Explorer 8, the Beta 2 is a really good web standards rendering browser. And it has ClearType in it, of course, which I'm kind of attached to, right? In fact, I can't live without ClearType.
Is there still a way to turn off ClearType in Internet Explorer?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Yes, there is.
There was a way, there's a way in Windows, and then there's an own way in Internet Explorer, which was always like, why is that?
Yeah, I believe there is. You could certainly turn it. I know you can certainly turn it on, so I'm assuming you can turn it off.
Alright, so I'll let you get back to with that. So, because you were finishing on the big dream on
yeah, well, EA. I've been looking at Internet Explorer 8 as it evolved and as it came to support web standards. And I've been looking. So I realised that, you know what, Bill? You've been dumb for way too long. It's time you got your hands dirty in the HTML and CSS world. What I did was I started to produce a set of web pages, and I used a publishing application to lay them out, and then got it to spit out HTML and CSS. But what I discovered was that it spit out HTML that was completely incomprehensible to me because there was all this proprietary lines of proprietary code and stuff like that in it.
What do you mean lines of proprietary?
Oh, tons of it.
You just mean markup stuff where it's just like ugly HTML, or
I'm not quite sure how you describe it, but it's lines of like VML and stuff like that,
Okay, yeah, so it's probably just, garbage HTML is what it spits out.
It does. Not only garbage HTML, but incredibly verbose garbage HTML.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So one of the things that happened was, I did this set of pages really to demonstrate font embedding and how font embedding could look on the web. And I wrote a piece in the Internet Explorer blog, i.e. blog, and gave a pointer to these pages. And Chris Wilson had warned me about this up front. He'd said, if you do that, there's a whole bunch of people that are going to jump on you for the state of the HTML in there. And I said, well, it's not really about the HTML, it's about the embedded fonts. I'm not an HTML guru. But sure enough, Chris was right, the pages appeared, people said, to be honest, they were probably right. If I tried to use the W3C's HTML validation tool to validate the HTML on those pages, it got as close as I've ever seen a piece of software to swearing at me and calling me a moron. There are 85 errors in this page, and it's not fixable.
Right.
So anyway, Chris warned me. It did happen. So then I started to look, and Chris took one of my pages that I created in this publishing application and started to work on a web standards version. He didn't finish it, but he'd done enough that I said,
follow.
Well, I couldn't follow then, but I thought, if I went away and learned a whole bunch of HTML and CSS and started to do this, hey, I could do this myself. So that's what I did. I bought a stack of books and I just went away. I didn't come into the office for weeks. And what I did was I deconstructed my pages, and I deconstructed Chris's HTML and the CSS and figured out how to get font embedding working and figured out a whole bunch of other things. And then I started to build standards-based versions of the same pages I'd posted on IE blog. And then I put those up. And the other thing that happened was I thought, you know, I don't want to test this stuff in the kind of artificial environment of the corporate network where I've got speeds and I don't have the latency and all that stuff. I want to do this for real on the web. So I bought a domain.
Okay.
It's called www.billhillsite.com. I bought a domain and I started to use that as a place to do all this experimentation. So I started off, the homepage kind of points to the original set of non-standards based pages, and then there was a set of standards based pages, and then I started to actually understand what I was doing. And then I started to get really ambitious, because the layouts that I've been doing, for example, the reason I've been using a publishing application in the first place was I wanted 2 or 3 column layout in my pages, and Chris had figured out how to kind of munge HTML so that you could use 3 separate divs and you could do 3 column layout, but you had to kind of hand fill each of the columns.
Yes.
So then I went on the web and I found a JavaScript that did multi-column layout.
Oh, excellent.
And integrated that into the pages. And then suddenly, whoa, things were starting to look even better. And then of course I got really ambitious and I thought, I'd love to have hyphenation in there as well. And I found another JavaScript that did hyphenation, so I put that one in and got that one working. And then I also worked at the same time on a really, really clean separation between the HTML and the CSS. I've done 70 pages, I think, in the last 3 weeks. And I can put my hand on my heart and say there is not a single character of formatting in any of the 70 pages in the HTML. It's all in the CSS.
Excellent.
Which was fantastic. The other big plus that happened, my original publishing application pages were 40k each page. The web standards version that I'm doing now are 7.
Yeah. Wow.
So they load really quickly.
Of course.
Because what happens is when somebody hits the site, they hit the CSS first, which then downloads the fonts, and then since all the pages use the same fonts, it's just
goes.
And how big are the fonts to download?
Well, the font objects. It's interesting. You can define what you want, how big you want the objects to be. You can define the WEFT tool, the Windows Embedding Font tool, for example. It allows you to decide on what basis you want to subset a font. So you can subset a font, just create a font object that only has the characters that are on this page.
Oh, interesting. So you can make it micro small, like let's just say you only had 3 letters.
If it was a
rather
heading,
than
for
downloading
example,
an entire font.
Well, that's how it is in Word, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah. Or maybe I want a website that only covers the English language. Therefore, we can strip out all of the Greek and the Cyrillic and all the special characters and stuff like that out of there. Or I want a website that allows editing, in which case I might need to put the whole font in, not subset it. So I can. There are various axes by which I can cut or increase the size of the font in ways that make sense. So, yeah. So the pages are about 7k each.
Did you want to show us? Or?
Yeah. So what I did, first of all, I've been blogging for some time. I started off blogging in Live Spaces, and I also created a Blogger blog. And I've been blogging in both of those, and I hate the way that blogs read. It's horrible. They allow for a kind of a pseudo multi-column layout on the first screenful. But the minute you go down below that, you're stuck in this big long line of text, and it's just horrible to read. And of course, all the rest of your screen is wasted. So that's one of the first things I wanted to look at was what a blog could look like if you had font embedding, if you had multiple column support and hyphenation, and you paid attention to font